Today we will be instructing the connection and uses of the Classroom Performance System. The CPS is a beneficial and entertaining way to assist in the learning environment. The CPS casing will include several components. Inside, you will find the CPS software CD that will be installed onto the main classroom computer. The casing also includes the sensor port that will be mounted on or near the smartboard. There will also be the USB cable that will connect the sensor to the main computer. Finally, the casing will contain 30 numbered student remotes. Before using the CPS, you will need to install the software by using the CD provided. Insert the software CD into the CD-ROM of your desktop or laptop computer. You will then need to access the pop-up menu and follow the online instructions to begin the setup of the CPS software. Find an open area on or around the smartboard to mount the sensor port. The sensor needs to be in a good location to allow student remotes to make an easy connection. Once the sensor port is mounted in a good location on or around the smartboard, locate the USB cable from the CPS casing. Take one end of the cable and insert it into the USB port on the sensor. Then locate the USB port of the main computer. Connect the opposite end of the USB cable into the USB port.
Once you have installed the CPS software and connected the CPS to your computer, there are 3 software components that you will need to become familiar with. These are the Prepare, Engage, and Reports tab. Under the Prepare tab, you will need to create your class roster, where you assign each student a remote control number. Next, you will begin creating lessons and assessments. The next tab is the Engage tab. The Engage tab will allow you to begin using lessons you have created with your students. And last is the Reports tab. The Reports tab allows you to access individual and whole class student achievement reports. When using the remotes during an engaged learning activity, students will need to make a successful connection from their remote to the sensor port. Students will be engaged using a created lesson on the software. Students will read the questions and answers provided. Once the student has thought of their answer, they will point the remote towards the sensor port and select the corresponding answer of A, B, C, or D. On the bottom of the screen, you will see a row of numbers. These numbers represent each student remote. Once the student has answered a question, the dark blue indicator will confirm that a successful connection was made between the remote and the sensor port. Teachers use the Quick Result feature to show student achievement. A chart or graph will show the students' responses by graphing the responses according to their answer choice. The teacher can select the correct answer to show the percentage of students who answered the question accurately. The Classroom Performance System can be used in a variety of ways. Lessons can be created on the CPS software. The verbal tool allows the teacher to engage students using an alternative format besides the CPS software lessons. The verbal tool can be used with PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, and internet sites. The CPS can also be used for daily warm-ups, vocabulary tests, and CRCT review. The software also provides interactive games for whole or small group instruction.
The CPS system in my classroom through all the subjects, but mainly in reading and math. Those are the ones that we really focus on in 2nd grade. I use it to administer quizzes, to give tests. I do it as just everyday practice. It's a really good way to reinforce new vocabulary or spelling words or new math skills, and it's a way to get the students engaged and it gets them away from paper and pencil work a lot of the time. Second graders don't really like to write much, so anytime you can get them into something hands-on, it really increases their engagement, which in turn increases the amount of information that they retain. So that's how I use it in class.
I use the CPS units as a tool to get quick feedback from my students on skills and concepts that we've been learning about.
I use the CPS for preview, review, and assessments. I've used it individually where every student can have a pad, and then I've used it in group, collaboratively, where the students would have to talk to each other and collaborate before they decided on a response.
So I've seen some really positive benefits from using the CPS in my classroom, specifically with the fact that it gives you immediate feedback, so you can look at each student on an individual basis and see if that particular student is struggling or if they're really grasping the concepts. But you can also get a classroom snapshot and see if groups of students are grasping the information, or if you need to do maybe a mini lesson or just reteach some information. Also, with my special ed and my EIP students especially, I'm always looking for really good ways to get them engaged in the classroom. And so with the CPS clickers, they see it more as like a video type games and not really learning, but they are learning. So I've also seen gains with them as far as their benchmark scores or the other district tests that we take, and they'll say, oh, I remember doing that on the CPS clickers. So, and they'll refer back to the lessons that we did. So those are some really positive benefits that I've seen from using the CPS clickers in my classroom.
Because CPS units give immediate feedback on student scores, my students are more connected to their assessments, and they are able to see how they did more quickly, and it seems to motivate them to do better, and they are more interested in it. And it's also more fun than the traditional pencil and paper tests that they're used to.
I've used the CPS software to import review questions for the students, but I mainly use it as an overlay on top of a website that I found, or a PowerPoint, or even just a document, a Word document. You can put it on top of those and do verbal questioning. I have seen gains in student achievement, especially when I use it collaboratively, when the students have to talk about what they're doing before they choose a response, and why certain questions are not the correct answer. I've really seen gains like that, but I've mostly seen gains in engagement. They are so engaged. There's a part in the CPS software where you can graph your results, and I always do it in a pie graph, so that if every student gets the question correct, they get a whole green pie, and they are so excited when they get a whole green pie. And we do little incentives where they'll get a chain on their success chain link or whatever, and they are just so excited when they get that whole green pie, and they know that every student in the class has got it.
Using the clickers makes learning more fun.
I like using the clickers on Study Island because it is fun and it gets us away from studying in books.
An overall consensus of using the CPS. Teachers and students have found benefits in classroom instruction. Teachers find that their students' engagement is heightened when using the classroom performance system. Quick assessment results are helpful with individual student achievement and when creating a differentiated learning environment. In turn, students have a more positive outlook during the learning process. The CPS is an exciting tool for both students and teachers. The student's interest will be heightened while the teacher benefits from quick assessment results.